My friends didn't invite me to their wedding and then made me the bad guy. So a friend, Greg, 28, in my circle of friends, met Shannon, 28, about 5 years ago, and they immediately hit it off. Everybody instantly fell in love with Shannon because she's friendly and is really fun to hang out with. They were everybody's favorite couple and really made our hangouts much more fun. We all knew they were perfect for each other. They both made our crew that much better. The engagement was expected, but was much welcome news. Our friend circle was buzzing about the inevitable wedding, and then the invitations went out. You know those save the date magnets that people send out? Well, it really sucked seeing them on everybody else's fridge when I visited friends knowing that I didn't get one and wasn't invited. Feeling left out really sucks, but it gets worse. I completely understand how stressful wedding planning is, and I believe that nobody should feel that they have to invite people they don't want to their wedding. It is their day and their ceremony, and they shouldn't have to have people there that they don't want there. I didn't cause a fuss or express to anyone that I was hurt, that I felt excluded from the wedding, and by extension, excluded from the group. I didn't want to be looked on in an even worse way than I feel I was apparently being looked at, but one friend actually stood up for me. When their wedding came up in conversation, and people talked about booking flights and rooms, destination wedding in New York City, eventually I was asked if I booked yet. I said, me and my girlfriend, weren't invited. Nobody could believe it, but I insisted that I wasn't upset because I know how situations like this can go. I didn't want to cause trouble because then the happy couple might resent me. Then I would be the bad guy. I heard through other friends that my friend Tracy thought that it was really messed up that I wasn't invited. She and I never spoke of how I wasn't invited to the wedding, but she really felt a certain way about it. So a month before the destination wedding, I got a text from Greg basically saying sorry for forgetting to send an invite, but that they would love to have us come to the wedding. It was way too late at that point for me. I couldn't get away from my job, and I didn't have a chance to put money aside for a year for an expensive New York City destination wedding like everyone else did. I didn't even get a save the date. Every flight and hotel, no rooms where everyone else was staying, obviously, too late for that, was unaffordable for me. I texted him back that I couldn't make it. The wedding came and went, and I felt bad about everything. I saw the Facebook pictures of my friends all having the times of their lives. It looked like a great wedding. There's even a picture of just the group of friends labeled the crew. I don't think I've ever felt so left out, honestly. It really made me feel worthless and unwanted. So naturally, the typical thoughts surfaced. They don't like you, they think you're annoying, they think you're an asshole. If you can't identify the schmuck in a group of friends, that means you are it. They think you try way too hard to be nice and think you're a phony. Then, as if it couldn't get any worse, Shannon messaged me on Facebook asking why I didn't RSVP and said they missed me at the wedding. RSVP? RSVP? Doesn't one have to be invited in order to RSVP? Everybody got a year to prepare between getting the save the dates and actual wedding invitations. I got a text message a month before the wedding. Just as I feared, I'm being made out to be the bad guy, and I even made a point to keep my feelings to myself and play it cool. But as usual, I didn't say this to her because I know how I would end up looking. I actually apologized for, I don't even know, but I made a point to mention how I spoke with Greg about it. I also made sure to compliment the wedding pictures and say that it looked like fun. I did everything I could in that conversation to make it easier on her, and of course now I feel like a total schmuck. That was this past summer, and I haven't seen them since. I feel like that's it for me in the group now. I see some of the friends in our group every now and then, but everything feels different now. None of them even responded to my birthday party Facebook invite this month. I feel like things are being said behind the scenes, and I feel completely out of the loop. It feels like a passive-aggressive message that maybe Greg and Shannon never actually liked me. My fiancé gets along great with Shannon, and she's just confused. Seeing her confusion just makes my heart break even more because she's a sweetheart who has never offended anybody in her life. I wish I could break it to her that I'm just the guy in the group that Greg and Shannon think sucks, but I don't know how, and I feel like a complete loser who deserves this. I'll always appreciate Tracy for sticking up for me. She may never know how awesome it feels hearing about how she told everybody that it was messed up that I was left out. I haven't even spoken to her about how the whole thing made me feel, or anybody for that matter. Reddit, you were the first to hear about it, because I didn't want it to appear like I'm making a stink and becoming even more disliked. This whole thing just effing sucks. I feel like I don't have friends anymore. And to make it worse, soon I'll have a wedding of my own, and I'm afraid that I won't have any friends there. Except for Tracy, of course. How am I supposed to handle who I invite so it doesn't seem like I'm leaving people out for petty revenge? How the hell do I navigate a toxic situation that I had no hand in creating? I still feel like I'm in the dark or could be overreacting. What the hell? In the comments, dude, you clearly tell them that you were not respected like the others. Cut them out. This is about self-respect. Find new friends and don't turn back. OP says, thanks for reading and responding. Yeah, I've been thinking, I guess I can have my younger brother be the best man and just not have groomsmen, considering the circumstances. It's just effed how I did everything that I could to avoid looking like the bad guy, yet here we are. I'm the bad guy regardless of anything I did. Doc Just says, that totally sucks. I would be hurt too. Do you think maybe Greg was in charge of sending invites to his friends and forgot? Or it got lost in the mail? I had an invite get returned to me 1 month after I sent it, but thankfully I'd sent a save the dates, and sent my invite super early, so it ended up just being fine, but if I hadn't, then one of my cousins might have incorrectly thought that she was excluded. It sounds like Shannon, at least, thought that you were sent an invite if she was upset that you didn't RSVP. You actually did RSVP by texting Greg back, but it sounds like she thought that you had been sent an RSVP response card. OP says, yeah, it could just be a simple misunderstanding, but word seemed to get around early that I didn't get a save the date, and even later didn't get an invite either. Tracy especially seemed to make sure everybody was aware that she wasn't happy about my exclusion. The other friends I spoke to didn't even suggest that it could have been a mistake, almost like they knew something I didn't, but didn't feel comfortable saying it. Only one person ever spoke up on my behalf. Honestly, you have a gut feeling about this one, OP, and I would tend to say follow your gut. Follow what your instincts are telling you. To me, it really does appear like you were just left out, and now they're using it as an excuse to paint you as the bad guy, and you really were in a rock and a hard place. The fact that everyone is taking their side and ghosting you just speaks volumes as to, the content of these people's characters. Were they ever actually your friends if only Tracy is standing up for you? That's a very good question to ask yourself here, but I wouldn't expect this situation to blow over. It just sounds like inevitably you're going to lose this friend group and have to pick up the pieces with another group of people in the future. It really sucks, but you're not really an asshole for anything that's happened here. And now, onto the updates. I half took everyone's advice and brought it up with Tracy. She just confirmed that Shannon was full of shit when she asked me why she didn't get my RSVP and wanted to absolve herself of guilt. I'm not sure if they forgot, or if I just wasn't invited yet, but Tracy said that we'd talk about it more tonight when she gets out of work. Final update. I spoke about it in depth with Tracy. It turns out Greg's best man, someone who was never in the gang but grew up with Greg, always hated me, and Greg thinks I'm annoying. Shannon later felt bad they chose not to invite me and pressured him to invite me over text, knowing that I wouldn't be able to make it. Also, it wasn't only Tracy who thought that it was wrong that I didn't get an invite, and the chatter is what made Shannon ask me why I didn't RSVP, to make it seem like my invite was lost in the mail. It feels better knowing this because, like I said, they don't have to have people they don't want at their wedding, but knowing Greg doesn't like me effing hurts because I always thought we were friends. Turns out he's the phony. Unfortunately, everybody else, except for Tracy and a few others, like Greg more than me. So they kind of felt like they had to choose a side after Tracy and a few others, it turns out, brought up why I didn't get invited. Lots of people feel guilty about this apparently. They still felt like they had to choose a side for whatever reason. Probably because most of them went to high school with Greg. Oh well, that's life. Thanks for the advice about being more assertive. Those of you polite about it were very helpful. Thanks. Deleted says, yeah, you don't need those two-faced assholes in your life. Congratulations on finding out before they borrowed money from you. When they get divorced, you can reach out to Greg and tell him that he deserves it. OP replies, it's funny you bring up borrowing money, because they're the type who always want to split the check when they order the most expensive shit and always say, I'll get you back, and I don't trust Venmo, I'll just give you cash when I go to the ATM, and don't. On the plus side, I don't have to pay for part of their steak and lobster dinners anymore. Will OP invite Greg, Shannon, and the best man to his wedding? OP says, nah, I don't think it'd be right to force anybody to choose sides, because that feels inappropriate to do to friends. I think everybody who stood up for me gets an invite. Greg can have his best man and be the cynical bastards they are together. Honestly, nobody really likes the best man all that much, because he's always acted like an obnoxious asshole when he's been around us. They can have each other. When told to talk to Greg directly and get it from the source, OP says, actually got confirmation and an apology from someone else. Not everybody was cool with it, but she's the only one who really has a spine and spoke up for me. Turns out, they effed up and caused all kinds of drama between people in the group. Some people wanted to keep me out of the loop so I wouldn't feel insulted. I kinda get it, but it just makes me appreciate Tracy more. Ray Rajan says, in this situation, you aren't the bad guy from my perspective, to be honest. A destination wedding is a dick move on your friend's part. The sheer inconvenience of one is like a dick move supreme, especially the fact they chose New York City. What the hell? Plus, some people turn into absolute assholes after marriage, and statistically speaking, your married male friend is going to be spending much time with his wife now than his friends. In some ways, marriage is like high school. You go to it with your friends for a little while, and then you start to drift away from one another by barely communicating. OP replies, Shannon is from up there and she wanted to be closer to her family. Yeah, turns out they didn't want me there and felt pressured once some of my friends realized. I guess it was easier to make the decision when it's just the two of them, and they lost confidence in the choice when people found out. Ray Rajan says, I feel it's best to just let the consequences of this affect them and just move on. And OP says, yeah, hopefully they learn from this and aren't such assholes in the future. I don't see Greg ever changing from the cynical and negative guy he is, but you never know. Dryad says, that shitty text really took it from, you don't have to invite anyone you don't have to you're a piece of shit. But I should mention actions have consequences, and that includes not inviting people. Your wedding does not exist in a vacuum. The text made me chuckle. Why didn't you RSVP? Anyone who ever planned a big event laughed at that. You contact everyone who couldn't be asked to RSVP to say, at the least, we didn't see your RSVP. Please let us know by tomorrow, otherwise we will assume that you can't make it, and we'll look forward to catching up later. Burnt Toast says, quote, but as usual, I didn't say this to her because I know how I would end up looking. I actually apologized for, I don't even know. As someone working on my own people-pleasing tendencies, it is absolutely excruciating to see people bend over backwards and apologize when they did nothing wrong. Same with the self-flagellating negative self-talk. Yeah, and that's why we have to just keep repeating stories like this in order to help people recognize their own people-pleasing tendencies and how to snap out of that. Because if you can see people repeating those mistakes and how they dealt with it, maybe, it can get through to people that have struggles, who knows. But regardless, I'm glad that OP is getting out of there. OP now realizes that there are in fact people in their camp, and they are not going to be alone in their own group of friends at their wedding. That's a huge positive to get out of this. It sucks to realize that Greg was such a phony the whole time and was being so fake, but hey, that's just how life is. There's a lot of people faking themselves out there. It's good to have him have the mask slip, to have OP miss out on the wedding as a result of the shitty actions of others is unfortunate, but the good news is that Greg hopefully can't keep hurting OP in the future, and they will have a stronger spine the next time something like this comes up. Thank you for sharing your story with us, OP. Our next post is by user Visible Broccoli, and it's titled, Am I the asshole for breaking up with my fiancée for telling her best friend she was not engaged? My now ex-fiancé, 30 female, and I, male 27, got engaged 3 weeks ago. We've been dating for 5 years, and I finally got the money to give her the wedding she wanted. Well, 3 days ago, we were discussing our guest list, and I asked if she wanted to invite her best friend. Let's call him James, male 30. James lives in another state, but since they were friends for 10 years, I thought I could even pay for his travel expenses, since it'd be great to have her best friend at the wedding. She denied this, saying that it would take a lot of work to bring him over, and that she wanted this to be a family event. Countless times she mentioned that James was like family to her, so I insisted. She got annoyed and said I didn't even tell him that we were engaged. That took me by surprise. I tried to ask why, but she started stonewalling me, and I left her alone. After a couple of hours, I tried to ask her again why she hadn't told him that we were engaged, and she still refused to tell me. And I admit, my insecurity got the better of me. In the past, James had confessed that he had feelings for her, which she turned down, and basically friend-zoned him. But the way that she told me, it always sounded like she had him as a backup, something not only me, but her exes also realized. She married him, quote-unquote, online. They always made their World of Warcraft characters look like a couple, like wearing the same transmogs and shit like that. And when she had a fight with her exes, he was always there for her, etc. I told her that made me uncomfortable, and if she was not planning to tell him, she might as well consider herself single, because I would not marry someone who couldn't be honest. Yes, I was pretty immature, but she did something even more immature. She texted him while showing me her phone something like, "Hey, just so you know, I was engaged, but not anymore," and sent it to him. I told her to pack her things and leave my house. Ever since she left, she's been calling me, but I refused to answer. My mum called me because she apparently called my mum and said that I was an asshole for ending things for such a ridiculous reason. So, am I the asshole? Miserable Most 1265 says, not the asshole. There is a reason she won't tell her best friend that she plans on getting married. I mean, most women think getting married is one of the biggest things in life and tells everyone she knows, unless it'll put a damper on something. You know, boyfriends hate hearing their girlfriend is getting married. That's crazy. Hey man, don't let your girlfriend stop you from finding your wife, okay? Wise Focus says, the night I proposed, I'm pretty sure that my wife was on the phone before I even heard a yes with as many people as she could think to call. Range Bob says, right? Mine was still naked when she started calling people. OK Ad says, lol, my husband and I had been to a friend's wedding earlier that day. Lying in bed watching TV later, he said, we should get married. He'd mentioned it before, but reneged, so I was like, yeah, right, okay, sure. And he said, I'm gonna call my mom. I realized he was 100% serious this time. He is not a mama's boy, but that's how I knew he meant it. I waited until he called her and put her on speakerphone, and then I called people. 14 years together and 10 married, 1 child, so I get it. Done Over 69 position says, so your ex-fiancé didn't want to tell her boyfriend about you. Unless you're poly, sounds like a great reason to end an engagement. If you want to confirm that she was cheating, offer to meet up with her for lunch. When you get there, tell her if she wants any chance with you, she needs to unlock her phone and you read all of her messages between him and her on all media. I'm sure you'll find more than enough to confirm that leaving is the best choice. And Siren 2040 replies, even in a poly relationship, that is still messed up. Lying and cheating. Polyamory requires honesty and transparency on each of the relationships. Done Over 69 position replies, poly allows you to make rules based off of how you and your partner agree. I've known a couple of people who have had successful don't ask, don't tell polyamorous relationships. That is their choice and how they choose to be. That is the only time I could figure out how this could possibly be okay. That is why I put that exception. But some people who are poly don't accept don't ask, don't tell us a viable relationship, and to that I say, allow people to make their own choices on how they choose to be in a relationship, the same way that you would like people to allow you to choose. Personally, with my 16 years experience with polyamory, I prefer kitchen table polyamory, but I also accept that people have different things that work for them. And back to OP here, I don't blame you for breaking up with your fiancé. You know, it does sound like they were dating the both of you at the same time, and it's, in their head, a don't ask, don't tell situation, which is called cheating. I can empathize that you wanted to ignore the red flags, given that they should have changed, learning from their past mistakes, but it's obvious that they didn't, and they choose to obfuscate so many details from you. That is more than enough grounds for you to break up with that terrible, deceiving person. I'm sorry that they dragged you out this long. She deserves the worst for that. That is an inhuman thing to do, but, you know, what can you do now besides move on? She's a piece of shit, you're not the asshole. And now, on to the updates. Hey guys, I just got home after talking to my, still, ex-fiancé, and since a lot of people asked for an update, here it is. But I wanted to clarify a few things. As commented on my original post, I pay for the house since I bought it before dating her, and I asked her to move in since it was close to her job. I work from home since I'm in tech, but she had to go to work, and that's why I paid for her car to help her commute. And honestly, her salary is shit. I was her partner, so I didn't see any problem with that. I thought she was the one. Despite everything, she is smart, funny, we had chemistry, but I felt betrayed. To the updates. We met at a coffee shop on the premise that we would discuss how to save our relationship. At least that's what she thought. As soon as we sat down, I asked to see their messages. She got defensive immediately and told me she had deleted everything. I asked to see her phone anyway. She started to cry, ugly cry, asking me to stop. At that point, I had already decided that I was not going to be a part of the relationship anymore, but damn, I was curious. It took a good 20 minutes for her to hand me her phone, a lot of crying, and even a waitress asking her if she was okay. So, I read the messages. There wasn't any cheating like nudes being exchanged, them professing their love for each other, but what I read still stung. There was a lot of shit talking about me. A lot. Texts and texts of them saying how terrible of a person I was, criticizing my hobbies. I like video games and pro wrestling, saying I wasn't a real man because of them, and stuff like that. But there were two topics that caught my eye. One where she had told him that I was having trouble getting hard, and that was frustrating for her, and one where she was complaining about how she didn't want to be stuck in our relationship. Yes, I was having problems in bed, because I was sad because my father had passed away 6 months ago, and this stuck thing, I remember telling her that when we got married, if she wanted, she could leave her job, and I would provide for the both of us. I don't know if she took this the wrong way, but I guess it was related to that. I honestly don't know. By the time I gave her the phone back, she was already giving excuses on why she was saying those things to him, like how he was like a therapist for her, and then she asked me, "Don't you complain about me to your friends?" And I simply replied, "No, I don't." She started crying again. I took a deep breath and just said, "Just give me the ring back." I didn't have the ring with me like some suggested. She hesitated a bit, but gave it to me anyway. I stood up and asked her to delete my number and to not bother me anymore. I called her mum and asked her to pick up her daughter's stuff at my place. Her mum's a good person. I'm just realizing that I'm going to miss her as I write this. She understood why I decided to end it, but she didn't ask much, and to be honest, I'm glad she didn't. As for my mum, I didn't call her. I just blocked her for things unrelated to this post. I just realized she never had my back in anything. I was always trying to save an already failed mum-son relationship. Before I leave, I just want to clarify. I was never against her having male friends or any type of friends. People are gonna cheat, friends or no friends. I remember my dad saying something to me when I was a teenager. He always said, "Opportunity makes the thief." But I do not agree with that. Anyway, since I have the next 2 weeks off work, I'm gonna go figure out what to do with the wedding money, drink some booze, play games, and watch Monday Night Raw later. Peace. Edits. A couple of people are asking me about the car. It's a 2015 Nissan Versa, which she crashed 2 times. Both times, she rear-ended someone. I never liked the car. Weak engine. The interior feels cheap and overall bad, so for all I care, she can keep that piece of shit. I would have more luck throwing it off a cliff than selling it. Edit 2, little update. Her mum called me a few hours ago to check up on me and to ask when she could come and pick up her ex's stuff. We spoke about the car and she basically forbid me to let her daughter keep the car because 1, I paid for it, and 2, X wouldn't be able to maintain it, so I'm gonna keep the car until I'm able to sell it. God help me. Also, some people called the story fake because they say that I wasn't a real man for playing games, and yet they played World of Warcraft. To be honest, that's on me because I wasn't very clear. The real man thing was more about the pro wrestling hobby than the gaming hobby, but in some messages they clearly mocked me for playing some games, like the Life is Strange series. In one, I remember James saying something like, "How could a grown-ass man play such a girly game and cry?" Yes, I cried playing Life is Strange. I also cried to Red Dead Redemption 2. The I'm afraid cutscene still makes me emotional. I'm a crybaby, I guess. Also, I want to thank everyone who messaged me to talk about wrestling and games. It really helped me take my mind out of everything. I haven't replied to everyone, but I intend to. If anything happens, I'll let you guys know. Be good, people. In the comments, Dretton9 says, James says you're not a real man because you play video games, while simultaneously creating his WoW character to match a girl who smacked him into the friendzone/backup plan option is galactic levels of cuck-fueled irony. OP, you gave your time, effort, and money to someone who didn't deserve it. It's unfortunate, but it can happen. Take some time to heal and become the best version of yourself. All the best. T. Fuentex says, quote, is galactic levels of cuck-fueled irony. Ouch. That was nicely done. This girl seems to be playing with 2 nice guys, probably more than that. Her ATM and her friend-zoned cuck. Dodged the ballistic missile. She didn't want to be stuck with you and then cry for a marriage that she doesn't want. Oh, but she's going to miss the wedding. That's what she wanted. Let's see if her best friend/boyfriend can provide her with one. Ah, man. There are 4 billion women on this planet. Be patient. Yours will find her way to you, but not this piece of shit. And now, on to the final updates. Hey guys, it's been a couple of days since I used this account to tell my story, and something's happened, but this is a positive update. First, I want to say thank you to everyone who reached out of my DMs and commented saying nice things. It felt really good and I appreciate y'all. Some of you actually made me tear up with your kind messages. Second, I saw my 2 previous posts were in a YouTube video of a guy who reads Reddit posts, and my update was on r/bestofredditor updates, a subreddit I read a lot, and that caught me off guard. But I want to express my gratitude for everyone who gave me advice, told their own story, or just told me that I was a cool guy. Reading your messages before writing this felt amazing. I also want to say that I thought about my engagement a lot, and I have no regrets whatsoever. Yeah, things ended badly and she was not a good person to me at the end, but I just don't hate her, nor do I wish for her to fail. We had good moments, I felt happy with her, and again I really thought she was the one. Feeling hatred was going to harm me more than her. To the update, her mum came to pick up her stuff and we talked for hours. It felt like therapy. I cried on her shoulders, we laughed, she expressed how much I meant to her family and that I would always be welcome in her home. It felt so good to hear her say those things to me. Before she left, she asked me if I wanted to ask about my ex. I got curious and asked how she was doing. Her words were, she's trying to act stoic, but I know my daughter. She's not taking this well. And I left it at that. She gave me a hug and left. About the car, I'm going to donate it and get a tax write-off. But to the thing that I'm excited about is that I'm going to Royal Rumble. I never even watched Raw or SmackDown live, but now that I have the extra cash, I'm going to treat myself. Again, thank you all for reaching out. Sorry to the people who love drama that this update doesn't have an unwanted pregnancy, a fight, chaos, or a plot twist. The truth is that my life is just really, really boring. Be kind, people. Kitty Miley says, it's great to hear that you're doing better. Enjoy Royal Rumble and keep taking care of yourself. You deserve some fun after everything. Stigley says, your ex realizes she had a good thing and blew it by trying to hedge her bets with her best friend. Her mum knows that she blew a good thing too. This is the best conclusion you could have hoped for. Hate-free healing. Good for you, OP. All the best and continue on this path of being your own best friend. Puzzleheaded says, that's a good update. He's better off. I'm glad OP is happier, and hopefully he finds a healthier relationship in the future. Until then, enjoy the WWE match and newfound freedom. And Ankit1000 says, I don't understand why so many people think it's alright to bitch about your partners to other people. I mean, if you don't like them, then why the hell are you with them? I think we see that a lot with married couples where it's just easier to stay with someone even if you don't like them, because breaking up with them, albeit it is the right thing to do, for some or for many people it seems like it's just too much effort. It's too much physical effort, too much emotional burden, too much financial cost. Man, look at all the time that I'd waste going to find someone that I actually respect when I could just sit on my laurels and save money and time. For what reason? I don't know, but yeah, she was hedging her bets with her boyfriend and her soon-to-be husband, and it's good that she's getting the comeuppance she deserves. Maybe this time that she got burnt again, she'll learn her lesson, but at this point I highly doubt it. She's gonna be stuck with this, orbiter little boyfriend that she's got going on, and she's gonna be unhappy, it seems like, and maybe she deserves to be unhappy for the pain that she's caused OP and others before him. Anyway, thank you for sharing the story with us, OP. I'm glad that you're out of there, glad you're getting a tax write-off, and like everyone else said, hope you enjoy the WWE. Anyway, that's where I'm going to end the story today, guys. I do hope you enjoyed. If you did, let me know what you thought of it in the comments down below, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.